Whenever you went to school, have you ever had a conversation with people or even yourself felt tired or sleepy during class? Was this a result of going to bed late at night and not getting enough sleep? Usually when people bring up this topic with their friends, parents, family, teachers, or any other sort of person, the topic of later school start times always comes up. The Sleep Foundation website also discusses that students with less sleep each night have difficulty paying attention in class and earn lower grades. This graph shows 4 different groups of people. People that were able to study in time and gain enough sleep, people who sacrificed their sleep for studying later into the night, and people who didn't practice at all. Even though the people who practiced for several hours, resulting in less sleep, had as much practice as the people who didn't, who were able to achieve enough sleep and practice enough time, they still ended up scoring lower than those other people because of feeling tired or sleepy during their test or any assessment that they had the next day. Because of this, we need to revitalize current school start times. Listen as I discuss the current situation and positives of later school start times and why they should be incorporated nationwide. To get an understanding of where we stand currently, we need to understand our current situation with school start times across the US. The CDC says that 93% of high schools as well as 83% of middle schools tend to start before 8:30. Almost all schools across the US have early school start times, allowing students to have very little time to catch up on sleep. The American Academy of Pediatrics adds on that schools need to start later in the day to ensure the students get enough sleep each night. The early school start times are interfering with our children's routines each day and the ability for them to get to school on time. The website KQED discusses in their article 3 reasons teens need later school start times, that several different case studies of students having difficulties paying attention in school and getting to school on time because of sleep. One case study is of a student, Amelia. She reflects on her freshman year and talks about how because of her living across town and not having any mode of transportation, she would have to bike across town each morning to get to school on time. Because of her school having an early start time, she would nearly always be tardy or late. We need to recognize that not every student across the nation has the privilege of public transportation, whether that be through a provided school bus, city transportation, or a parent driving their kid to school. After seeing a few of these negatives, we need to understand the positives that would come with later school start times. The Masters of Arts in Teaching Guide discuss in their article that later school start times will help lay off academic workloads on students. A study was conducted by the University of Minnesota with over 9,000 high school students, and it resulted in finding that each of the students were able to perform higher in class assignments, quizzes, tests, and overall engagement in those classes. The U.S. News also adds on, stating that through their studies, later school start times raised test scores in math and English by over 2 to 5%. As we can see, the later school start times result in higher test scores and consistency with engagement in class with all students alike. Along with improving engagement in school and scores overall, later school start times will help save lives. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation discusses how early school start times across the U.S. have affected students' safety in getting to school. For example, in the Northeast, during the winter season, there tend to be icy roads and other hazardous winter conditions, which is a major problem for new and unexperienced drivers, which is a large population of the high school community. These conditions can lead to crashes and even worse for those students just trying to get to school on time because of those early start times. Along with this, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration states that motor accidents are the #1 cause of death for high school students across the U.S. Typically, this is a result of drowsiness or sleepiness. Dangerous situations, this can be avoided by starting school later in the day, preferably after 8:30, allowing the students to have more sleep and not be sleepy behind the wheel, and for dangerous conditions to clear up by the time they have to start heading towards school. Along with saving lives, later school start times will allow students to move away from participating in unhealthy behaviors. Through the Sleep Foundation study on their website, they discuss how they found the possibility of students engaging in unhealthy behaviors such as alcohol, drugs, smoking, bullying, and fighting occurred more consistently and often because of earlier school start times and a lack of sleep. Our children's lives are at risk, and if we want to save them from both safety with getting to school on time and even how they behave outside of school, starting school at a later time would be most beneficial. Even with my own experience over 13 years living in various different states, I have seen from the West Coast to the East Coast in California and Tennessee that no school began after 8:30. I myself am a victim of having to wake up so early in the morning and falling asleep in class and having trouble paying attention within our class. If you want our children to look more like this in class, attentive and engaged, instead of like this, sleepy, tired, and drowsy within class, changing school start times to later in the day is a must.